Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to explore the basics of ray tracing in the context of optical design. But before we dive in, let's start with a simple question. What exactly is optical design? Optical design is a branch of optics focused on choosing and arranging optical elements to shape light in a way that meets the needs of a specific application. Whether it's for cameras, telescopes, microscopes, or even smartphone lenses, optical design helps us control how light behaves. Let's take a simple example. Imagine a photographer snapping a photo with their camera. What does it really mean to take a picture? It means capturing light from a specific field of view. Light from every point in the scene enters the camera, travels through a series of optical elements, and finally gets focused onto a detector, like a digital sensor. In this video, we are going to focus on two key aspects of optical design. The aperture, how much light is allowed to pass through from each point of the object, and the field of view, what portion of the scene is actually captured by the detector. Let's start by talking about the field of view. The field of view, or FOV, defines what portion of the scene the optical system can see. For a fixed sensor size, a wider field of view means more of the scene is captured. That gives us more overall information, but less detail from each individual point, since the light is spread out. On the other hand, a narrower field of view concentrates on a smaller area. That means more light and detail per point, but from a smaller portion of the scene. So there is always a trade-off, more coverage versus more field. Every point within the field of view contributes to the final image, but how much light from each point actually reaches the detector? That's determined by the aperture. The aperture controls the amount of light that's allowed to pass through the optical system. A larger aperture lets in more light, which can improve image brightness and detail, while a smaller aperture reduces light, but can increase depth of field and sharpness in some systems. Let's now introduce a few key definitions. Light travels near a central line called the optical axis. As we mentioned earlier, object emits light all directions, but only a portion of that light is directed toward the optical system. This light is then collected by a detector, but only within a specific area. This area is limited by what's called the field stop. It defines what part of the scene the instrument can see. Finally, there is the aperture stop, a physical component in the system that controls how much light makes it through the optical path. Let's talk about what an aperture actually is. At its core, the aperture is a physical diaphragm inside an optical system, often referred to as the aperture stop. When you look at it from the object side, this aperture stop appears as the entrance pupil. From the image side, it's called the exit pupil. These pupils control and limit how much light enters the system, which directly affects both exposure and depth of field. Building on the aperture stop we just discussed, when we conjugate the aperture stop through the optical element towards the object space, we get what we call the entrance pupil. Similarly, when we conjugate towards the image space, we get this time the exit pupil. In other words, by projecting the physical aperture stop through the lens system on both sides, we obtain these two pupils that control how light enters and exits the system. Another way to define the aperture is by looking at the size of the cone of light where the light is focused. Let's consider a lens focusing light, shown in blue. The numerical aperture is defined as the product of the refractive index of the medium where the light is focused and the sine of the maximum angle, theta, between the focal point and the edge of the lens. This angle theta represents the maximum acceptance angle from the lens point of view. Another way to define the numerical aperture comes from the perspective of optical fibers. Here, it's also defined by a maximum angle theta prime, but unlike the lens case, this angle isn't based on the edges of a lens. Instead, it's determined by the square root of the difference between the square of the core and cladding refractive indices of the fiber. In this case, you can see that the fiber acceptance angle is smaller than that of the lens. Therefore, the effective aperture in red is defined by the fiber numerical aperture. The aperture limits the size of the cone of light passing through an optical system, or more generally, the amount of light passing through an optical system. This aperture can be a physical one, as we said previously, a diaphragm or a lens. It can also be a projected aperture, like the numerical aperture of a fiber, or a virtual aperture, like the entrance or the exit pupil. In fact, you can define an aperture at every surface within an optical system, which is especially useful in sequential ray tracing software like Zemax or CodeFile. This concept relies on special rays called marginal rays. These are rays originating from the optical axis and passing through the edges of the aperture stop. Now, let's focus on what limits the instrument field of view. The optical element responsible for this limitation is called the field stop, as we said. Most of the time, we want the detector itself to act as the field stop to capture the maximum amount of information from the object. Similar to marginal rays, we can define the field of view at every surface of the instrument using chief rays. Chief rays are defined as rays traveling from the center of the aperture stop to the edges of the field stop. These rays helps us understand which part of the object the instrument can actually see. So far, we've looked at simple systems with a single lens. But how does this work when there are multiple lenses? When defining the aperture in a more complex system, we use the marginal ray. The marginal ray passes through the edges of the entrance pupil, of the edges of the aperture stop, and finally on the edges of the exit pupil, thereby defining the amount of light in each space. Similarly, we use the chief ray to define the field of view. The chief ray passes through the center of the entrance pupil, of the aperture stop, and the exit pupil. It finally reaches the edges of the detector when it is the field stop. Thanks to these two rays, the marginal ray and the chief ray, we can precisely determine what an instrument can see and how much light it collects. This information is crucial for effective optical design. Depending on the application, the design of the optical system will vary. For example, when imaging a small biological sample, a microscope objective requires a small field of view to capture fine details and a large aperture to gather plenty of light from those details. If the goal is to capture details of a large scene, like a tennis match, a camera with a wide field of view and a moderate aperture is typically used. But why not having both a large aperture and a wide field of view at the same time? Because it's challenging to design such a system. This is a fundamental limit of physics. So we need to make trade-offs and decide what type of design best suits our needs. The key questions to always ask are: what aperture do we need? And what field of view? Thank you for learning with me today. Feel free to leave a comment or hit the like button if you found this video helpful. See you next time!